They did not ask the people, what changes do you want for a life of peace and dignity in the forest? They asked the business houses, what changes in the law do you want for you to do ease of business in these forests? Ease of business it was called. This happened in 2021 and in 22 the rules of the Forest Conservation Act were amended to say, among many amendments, the two crucial amendments were Gram Sabhas no longer need to be consulted before forests are diverted, and forest rights do not need to be recognized before the forests are diverted to industry. In 2023, they changed the Forest Conservation Act itself to open up, which effectively has opened up all the border areas, that is the whole of the northeast, Kashmir, all the dense forests of the borders of all these states, very vulnerable forests of these states, they have been opened up. They are outside now the purview of any kind of breaks on diversion. They changed the law to say that if you are doing ecotourism activities, that will be facilitated. But if a forest dweller goes into a reserve forest to get a bundle of sticks for firewood or to graze their cattle, they can still be arrested. In fact, in 2019, just before the previous Lok Sabha election, it was leaked that the government was interested in passing a law which would allow the forest department and the police and all armed, to create an AFSPA-like situation in the forest in which people's houses could be raided, they could be arrested, their forest rights pattas can be cancelled, they can be even shot. They were given powers of killing, of looting, of destroying. These powers were given to forest officials in that proposed amendment. That proposed amendment was not passed because of the uproar in the country. Because of the huge protests all over the country, that those proposed amendments were shelved. They are not gone away, they have been shelved. And the very next year, they went to the business houses and said, now you say what you want. So in 2022 and 2023, the forest law has been amended to facilitate corporate takeover of the forests, whereas the rights of the people, the forest dwellers, people who are dependent on the forest community, is still very insecure. It is the law, there is a law which is never implemented. There is a continuation of British government laws which are very repressive. So the people who actually own the forests, which are the Adivasi communities and other communities who are like Adivasis, even though they are not scheduled as Adivasis in the scheduled list, their lives are getting more and more insecure and the business houses are moving in. And this has been done so shamelessly that it is, we have seen so much of violence in Adivasi areas over the past decade. But even this level of shamelessness is leaving us completely stunned. So when you talk about corporatization, it is not only about land grabs, forest resource grabs. Adivasis are still fighting. Your very own Komaram team gave us the slogan of Jal Jangal Jameen. That is a slogan which is resonating in all Adivasi areas all over the country. That fight is still ongoing. It is getting more and more difficult because of the way that the government, the state, is nakedly standing with the corporate sectors and actually assisting, facilitating, encouraging resource grab and saying, don't worry, we are there. This is what Operation Green Hunt was there for. We first started hearing of Operation Green Hunt when before that we heard that Tata Steel wants to start a factory in Bastar. When we first heard of Tata Steel wanting a factory, and then other companies wanting a factory, and then soon enough we had Operation Green Hunt. So this has been the history. But there is another effect, an invisible effect, which we do not even know how to fight. And that is the way the markets have destroyed Adivasi autonomy, have made Adivasis into bonded labor, have entered our homes, have entered the fields, have entered people's minds, have entered the culture, and have taken over. Of Green Revolution, much celebrated Green Revolution, there were many benefits to that, but we also know the Green Revolution was corporate driven, and the Green Revolution focused on those crops and those methods of cultivation which promoted corporate interests, corporate seeds, corporate sponsored irrigation, corporate pesticides. Also, Green Revolution was corporate sponsored program. The effect on that on being on Adivasi society so far of now, which is not just an Adivasi society, but it is a disaster for all of us. Because an entire world of food, of grain, so many varieties of traditional millets, hardy crops which don't require too much of water, do not require too much of labor, which will grow like Adivasis. They are strong, they are resilient, and they do not make a fuss. Those crops are all now gone. This means that Adivasi farmers have become more and more vulnerable to weather changes, to climate change, and to the market, because now they have now been completely, first other farmers were enslaved by the market, and now increasingly Adivasi farmers are being enslaved by the market because their seed has to come from there, their pesticide has to come from there, and they have to sell their crop there. That is the impact on farming. But the worst impact that we are seeing is the way almost the whole of Adivasi society is now being reduced to bonded labor. We have a constitutional provision against begari, against bonded labor, because it was felt that this was the reality of British India, this was the reality of pre-British India. It has no place in post-independence India. 30 years ago, when I met a Bega Adivasi in Mandla side of what is now, what is now in Chhattisgarh, Bilaspur, he told me that, under the British, we had to do begari. But in independent India, we have lost our land, water and forest. So I don't know which is better. That's what he said. But if I meet him now, what will he say? That we have not only lost our land, water and forest, we are now back to begari. How is this happening? There is no work. The land is not enough, is not growing enough. There is no work. There is no development of any sort in these villages. So people are being pulled out as workers in the thousands. I am not talking about one or two cases. In fact, if you do a study, it is going to lakhs. Every Adivasi area, even Adivasi areas of dense forest areas, very interior areas where there will be maybe one bus once a day and there is no electricity. People from those areas are being pulled out, are being brought by an elaborate system of thekadars to work in Telangana, in Andhra Pradesh, in Karnataka, in Punjab. These are Adivasi workers. These are people who till one generation ago had not even seen the district headquarters. They did not need it. They were an autonomous people. They did not need it. And now, their trucks and trains full which are being taking people and they are working as bonded labor in the technical and in every human sense of the word. They are given an advance. As a result of that, after that they have to work for some 15-16 hours a day. They stay in the open. You would have seen them. They stay under plastic tents. They stay in the open. Their women are subjected to all kinds of abuse. The children are there with the parents, so the children, another generation is destroyed along that. They work for 16 hours a day. It is up to the thekedar and the employer, some level. Immediate thekedar, his boss, some level. They will decide when this family can go home. They will decide. They are entirely at the mercy of these employers. This is happening. The sugar factories of Maharashtra and Karnataka, Gujarat, the brick kilns of Telangana. You will remember a case in which an Adivasi woman from Odisha was kicked in her stomach when she was pregnant and she died. Maybe some of you would have even taken up this case. You will remember another case which did not reach you of a young 22, 23-year-old Adivasi youth and a same age as Dalit youth. Their hands were cut off. Their hands were cut off. They were also from Odisha. They were being taken by the thekedar. They were told they were being taken to Maharashtra, but actually they were being taken to Telangana or vice versa. At Gondia station they realized this. The group fled. They said, no, we don't want to go there. We've been there before. It is very bad. They ran away. The rest of the group ran away. These two boys got caught. And to teach the entire community a lesson, their hands were cut off. Recently, Adivasis from Shivpuri in Madhya Pradesh were rescued by the police from Karnataka.